Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of All the Mods 6. I hope everyone's doing great today. I know that I am, as always. So, let's just get into things today. So there's been not a ton of stuff that's been done off camera, but we have done a few things on stream that I do want to recap on really quick before we get into what we're going to try to get accomplished today. So, for those of you who weren't able to catch the stream, you can catch the full highlights over on twitch.tv/jaboy. It's in the description down below, so it makes it a little bit easier for you guys to find it and get over to it. But yeah, like I said, full recap over there. But let me show you what we have done in those streams or in that stream. So we mainly spent a majority of our time working on our mine colony here and just upgrading the different buildings. So I know our last episode was around my mine colonies quite a bit, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it right now. But I did just want to show you, like I said. So we have our builder's hut upgraded to a level 3, which means we can make up to level 3 buildings across the board for our settlement here, which is super nice. We do have our fishery up and going here. It is already at a level 2, and I think it looks a little bit nicer at a level 2 here. Once it gets up to a higher tier, it looks even nicer as they go. Obviously, it adds more detail, more blocks, and it just requires more, stuff when the builder goes to build it. So we did get this up and going in the last episode. It's just a level 1 home, so we had enough places for our colonists to sleep. Haven't changed much there. I did go ahead and start working on getting our what do we want to call this? Our wall, our wall, I guess, around our colony here up and going and getting it further down. I did want to make this some kind of gate, and I haven't 100% decided on how I want to do it. If I want to have it come up from below or down from above. I think I have an idea, and I think we might try to actually get into it today to get it up and going. It's a very cool feature, cool mod that's in this pack. You might be able to notice right off the bat. Yeah, I've done a little bit of expansion here. I'll touch on this really briefly. But basically, as you guys know, with mine colonies, you only have a certain amount of space that you can work with. And it's constrained to these borders here that show up when you're holding the building tool within your colony. Now, for us, over here, it just was a bunch of water, if you guys remember from our last video. And I really want to utilize this space for farms, for just different structures in general for our settlement. And in order to do that, I needed to build it out with some land. Now, realistically, what I could have done, so I didn't have to use as much dirt, is I could have just put a layer of dirt on top and then maybe not filled below it, or, you know, use different materials for the beneath and then put the dirt across the top. But I just went with all dirt, and honestly, going to the mining dimension makes it super easy because the whole top layer across the board, there's no variation. The top, I think 4 or 5 blocks down, is all dirt, so makes it really easy to mine it up. Let's sleep through the night real quick here, just so we're not talking in the dark. But yeah, I built this out so we could have some more space here, and obviously it's not finished. It looks very unnatural to have it go like so, but we'll have it probably come out even a little bit farther here, probably out to like the edge over here. And I know we have a boat there, but we'll leave enough space where it makes sense that a boat could probably shift its way through here. But I just want to utilize it because everywhere else we can't really expand to. We do have some hills over here that we could tear down or kind of level out a little bit more to put some stuff up here. But other than that, most everywhere else is water. I mean, all this, like maybe about like 1/4 of it, or yeah, 1/4 I would say is about water, is all water over here, and we can't really put anything there right now. So anyway, I'm rambling on. I said I wasn't going to take too much time going over that, but that we have that going. It'll be finished over on a stream at some point in time. We did get to this house up to a level 3 here, which is awesome, so we can have 3 colonists that are chilling in here. I did upgrade our town hall to a level 2, so this is what it looks like at a level 2. It did not expand on the amount of people that we have. It's very interesting. We have had children join the colony though, which is actually relatively interesting on how that works. Basically, you'll have children that join or are born into the colony here, and then they need to grow up to a certain point, so it takes some time, and once they're at a certain age, they will want a job, and then you can assign them to a job if you have one available. Otherwise, they will just be idle. Now, the big thing that we got up and going over here is a restaurant. So this is a place where all of our people can go to get food. Now, it is a little bit interesting on how it works, and I think there's more aspects of Mine Colonies that we need to get into to have everything run efficiently. But basically, we can come in here. This is a level 2, I should say. And we do have Mackenzie Barnes assigned as our chef here in our restaurant. So you can obviously click on the restaurant here. We do have it named as the Krusty Krab. Good reference. And you have all your normal selections here. Now, there are a few additional things because it is a restaurant. First and foremost, this is what they'll ask with when you do have a colonist that is assigned to this station, is they will want to know what fuel to use, because there are furnaces and they want to know, hey, what kind of fuel can we use in this furnace? And by default, everything is off. Now, there is a lot of stuff to choose from because realistically, you can burn a lot of stuff in this pack and use it as fuel. Now, you can search for it. There is a nice search bar here. But again, it does come up with a bunch of different things. So for us, I set it to coal and I just had to click it on. So just for reference for you, for those of you who are out there who are trying to follow along with Mine Colonies. And then finally, there's a minimum stock. So just things that you want them to have in stock. I set it with a few things here. I just provided them food for the time being. So if you click into this again, just normal click, I know I hit shift there, but we didn't need to. But I have provided them with a good amount of fuel, or a good amount of food, and basically they'll go through everything except that minimum stack. Basically, you want them to hold on to that just in case. Go through everything else, and then worst case scenario, you have the backups. So I got a bunch of carrots, bunch of apples, some cooked chicken, and so on in there. I think I could give them even some more food. We do have more cooked chicken and such in here. Just like so. And basically the colonists will come here and they will get food from her. Now, she can actually cook up food if it is provided to her. But I think you have to have additional like couriers and warehouses and things like that to link up everything together so that they know that they can grab the food from like a warehouse and bring it to this location to be cooked up. And then obviously you would also need a way of producing it. So like a farm or something along those lines. And then we did upgrade our both of our watchtowers here. Our guard towers are level 2. I think they look pretty good. Once they get obviously to a higher level, they look even better. And then we started expanding on our railway system because it is going to make a turn here and then come over here. I think we'll have a station right here. And then we'll kind of expand our colony over this way as well, and probably have something over here. I don't know. And we might expand out on the land here so we can utilize once again that space. But anywho, going on and on. I always say I'm not going to talk much on it, but it's fun. I'm really enjoying Mine Colonies. I highly recommend it. I feel like it is in a great place in this version. But again, the one thing I would say is that if you are doing this, set it up separately from your main base. We have our main base here, and it doesn't infringe on what we are doing over there. So unless you really, really want to integrate into the buildings, like integrate your setup into the buildings, you do just need to keep in mind if you do upgrade the buildings, then they are going to tear out anything that you put in there because they are going off of a set blueprint. And if your stuff is not in that blueprint, they are going to rip it out and store it away. Anywho, the other thing that we did get up and going finally, I feel like it took us forever to do, was our refined storage setup. So we do now have it over here. We are no longer over in our main base there. We're not in our little tree hut that we started in anymore. It is completely cleared out. So if we come over here, I can show you guys that this bad boy has been retired. There's nothing in here currently. We might use it for something else. I don't know. We'll see. But we have moved everything over to our new refined storage and automation building, which is pretty cool. Once we have rails up, this will be really fun to just go on the rails for it. So we do have some stuff in here still. Oh, I guess I probably should put these away. Some patterns. It took me a while to move everything because when you do break these crafters, they do not retain their inventory. They drop all the patterns that were in them. So it's just something to keep in mind there. Also, if you are getting into Mine Colonies and you do have an automated system set up, you are going to need to get to these plain spruce paper timbers or cobblestone timbers or spruce timbers, but depending on what style you're going for, you might need to get some of these, and they're extremely tedious to craft up. So I highly recommend getting the patterns for all of those up and going into your system, so you could easily just craft them like that. Now there's a little bit of a trick where you have to have enough building tools in the refined storage system in order to be able to go through all the tiers. It's kind of strange, but building tools are relatively inexpensive to make. So anyway, but as you can see, this is our new setup down here, which is pretty awesome. I'm digging it a lot. Let's try to get, I don't know, get a shot in here of this. I don't know. I'm just trying to get anything, reference points here. So we do have our pattern grid, our crafting monitor. You guys know about those. Our disk drive here, which we're still sitting at a cool only 18% full, which is not bad at all. And then behind here, we have it looped in to both of our network transmitters. So we do have a transmitter over by our mine colony, and then we have one in the main base area where we have our bed and all of our power generation and stuff. So we have both of those going. We do have our wireless transmitter here, so we can utilize it in this space as well. And those obviously then loop back up into the controller. I did get another netherite crafter up and going. These things are super useful. I highly recommend if you can get to netherite level, you do it, because it, here, actually you can't see behind here, but let's go over to here so you can see, maybe, if I can kind of get it. I could slightly get it. So it holds 81 pattern slots. It has 81 pattern slots, which is quite a lot compared to the tier below it, which is diamond. The diamond one only holds 63 and only has a base speed of 25 times, whereas this one has 125 times, which you can see right there. Yeah, but these things are awesome. They are expensive though, because you do need netherite, so just keep that in mind. But anywho, we have it set up over here. You guys have seen this. It's nothing new. The one thing I do want to mention, which I was tinkering around with and figuring out, is that over here for this specific crafter, I have put everything in there that is processing. So as you can see, if we hold over like this one here, this pattern, it says ×1 basic processor, which is the output, but underneath that it says processing. So this means that it has to go through a machine, and for us, it means it's going to be cooked up. Now, I did include these other ones in here just to keep them together. I wasn't 100% sure how it would necessarily work. So, and then you have like glass in here. It says processing. The silicone in here, processing, because it has to go through our smelting factory. Now, if you were to take these ones that are processing and put them over here, they won't work. They won't automatically route over to the smelting factory. So that's kind of the catch of it. So you can have all of these in the system, like hooked onto the same exact refined storage setup. You see here, we have 3 different ones, and all of them can hold patterns, and all of them will work. However, if you have to have one that goes through any kind of processing, you need to have it located directly above the machine that it's going to be utilized for. So that is why I think I've been considering a little bit more expanding this out and putting different things in here so we can automate it even more, like for producing steel, because I do want to get into mechanism a little bit more. So if we take a look at steel, right? And we right here. So we have steel ingots and steel dust. So we want to have the steel ingots, and I would like to have this be automatically able to run. So realistically, our best way to go about it is through getting steel dust. I'm going to put these on our inventory so we have them so I can see them. Now the best way to get steel dust is through a metallurgic infuser. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit interesting, and I don't 100% know if it's going to work. So it's going to be a little bit of a trial and error today. So we have to use a metallurgic infuser in order to get steel dust from enriched iron. Enriched iron is just coal dust or carbon, which is just any kind of coal put in here with an iron ingot, and that will make that up. But realistically, it all happens within the metallurgic infuser, obviously except for the last component, which is taking that steel dust and turning it into a steel ingot, which we would then separate out. So our best way to go about this is to actually get an advanced infusing factory up and going. Now we do have one in our main base already, but I'm trying to keep them separate. I want to have one where I can just go use it on its own if we just need a one-off item or something random where we don't necessarily want to put a pattern into place. I know we could use these one-off, but I want this to all be centered around our automation. I want them to be separate. I mean, we have the resources for it anywho. So let's hop into our crafter here. We are going to need these. So we're going to need 2 of these bad boys. Let me take a sip of my coffee here. And then we are going to need some of this stuff. So we're going to need 2 furnaces, just like so. And we should have everything that we then need. Get the basic one, and then finally we'll get the advanced one. So there we go, pretty easy to do. Now the other thing we are going to need is to power this bad boy. Now realistically, we don't need to put that much power on it. On this one, I have just a hardened ender gate, and that's going to be perfectly fine because I believe they output at 5k FE per tick, which is plenty. That's plenty of power to get to it. Now over on our actual controller up here, we have it set up with one that does, it's the Niotic, which does way more than that. I honestly forget offhand. It's 40k FP per tick, which is way more than what we need. What we're ultimately actually going to end up doing is making this creative, which if we have enough time, maybe we'll try to get to that today. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a lot of things planned out for today. So in order to do this, we are going to actually need another crafter, but I'm going to set this up here. That's, actually, I'm sorry, I'm not here. We're going to set it up right here. I forgot there was a spot for it right here. Now, in order to do this, we are going to need another importer. So let's go over here and get an importer up and going. All right, so we are going to need one of these bad boys, which we're going to have to craft up. We are going to have to craft up those as well, so we'll get that going. We should be set there, and then by the time, yep, we are good to go. Okay, so all we got to do now, take this out. We are going to have to move this block because we do need to get up there like so. We shouldn't have to change any of the settings with it. We should be perfectly fine just with that. And then finally, obviously, we got to give it some power. So there we go. The metallurgic infuser is up and going. Now, it will be interesting to see how this works with the patterns, because I don't know how it's going to work with this secondary slot here. If we have to have another like import or exporter, we'll probably have to have an exporter hooked onto this. Now that I'm thinking about it, which I don't think do I have an exporter? I actually do. Okay, let's hold on to that because we might need it. Now the next thing we're going to need is another crafter. So let me get a netherite crafter together because obviously that's what I mainly want to use. So guys, I am getting our netherite crafter together, but I did need more ancient debris to make into the netherite scraps to then turn into the netherite ingots. You guys know how it goes, but typically you can go to the nether to actually find what you need. But I actually would recommend going to the other dimension to get it, because look at this. I mean, just in this little area here, there is so much. Right there is 3, right there is 2, there's another one up there. And just from my little bit of mining, I've already gathered up 13 ancient debris. And then I've already gone over with you guys in a video on how you can actually double to triple the output of these bad boys, so that you're getting the most bang for your buck. Now, obviously, it is a little bit harder here in the other dimension to get around and to mine and everything like that, and it is a little bit more end game, which makes sense. So just keep that in mind, but I definitely would recommend it if you do have the option to get here. Now, for those of you who are new here, you might be wondering how I am seeing it, how I'm seeing the netherite like I am. Well, we are using a charm of netherite site. Highly recommend using these charms. We've gotten a couple up and going for different materials in general, like unobtainium, vibranium, and all the modium. It's a great way to be able to find them. But anyway, I'm going to take these back to the base, and we are going to get that netherite crafter up and going. All right, guys, so we did get our netherite crafter up and going. Pretty straightforward, and from all of that stuff, all of those ancient debris that we got, and going through our process of pretty much tripling the output of them, And then we got over like a stack of the scraps, which is awesome. That's going to give us a lot of ingots, and so we can hopefully not have to go back anytime soon to find more. Now, the other thing I do want to mention with these netherite crafters here, just anything from refined storage or extra storage in general. So when you place them down, sometimes they don't line up properly. This is the bottom of it, and obviously you can see it's not facing the right way. What you want is the bottom facing downwards. So in order to shift these, you can get a wrench from refined storage up and going, which is pretty straightforward, just a basic processor and some quartz enriched iron, and then you right click on it until it is in the right position there. Now, obviously for us, what we can do is we can hold it onto the top one there, and it works perfectly fine. But anywho, so we should be all set here. I think then all we got to do is scratch my face here, is put this away, and we want to come over to our pattern grid here so we can get some patterns up and going. Now, I should actually have some patterns chilling in here. I think I can grab them out of here. Yep, there they are. We can place them right on in there. So we are going to want to go through the process of getting steel dust up and going. So this is going to be the first one right here. So basically, it's saying taking coal dust and iron to get that. Now, we don't want to use coal dust. So instead of doing that, we're going to want to put what we want in there, which I think a block of coal would be perfectly fine. Or can we alternatives? There we go. We can select alternatives, which is just dust. I don't want to do dust though. There we go. We can shift that off of there. And then I think coal would be the best way to go about it, which I don't want it to be 36. I literally just want one piece of coal, which can we select it from over here and just drag it over? This is where it gets a little bit finicky. So there we go. Iron and coal, because I think it is a 1-to-1, and then it'll get us enriched iron. So this is processing. So we'll want to take this over here and throw it in there. So that'll give us our enriched iron. Now we come back into here, we'll clear this out, and then let's hop over to our actual steel dust. It's going to be the same exact situation, but now using enriched iron. So let's grab that into there. Obviously we don't want a block of charcoal in there. We just want a piece of coal, and we'll do it like that. And we'll throw this in here as well. I guess realistically, we could have used a smaller one than a netherite crafter on this, because we're probably not going to have a ton of stuff going into the infusing factory, but it's okay. We can always course correct later if needed. Then finally, obviously, the last piece of it is going to actually be getting the steel dust smelted up into an ingot, which will be like this. And then this one, we do want to keep in mind, will go on to the one above our smelting factory. So we'll throw that over there, and it should be fine. And now I am a little bit curious on how this is going to work. The other pattern I am actually going to want to get going here is we're going to want a recipe for that, because I don't believe we have one in here, do we? We have one where we can make coal blocks. And we actually do have one to actually make coal on its own. Okay. Well, I guess we don't need this one then. So I'll throw it back in there for the time being. Let's get this cleared off of here, and let's give it a try. So if we go into our system here and we look for steel, if I could spell. Now, we do already have a lot of steel in here. We have 84, which is awesome, but I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to see if this is going to work. So let's craft up just one. So it says it's going to craft that. It's going to need steel dust. That should be easy to do. And just like that, it actually crafted it up. Wow, okay, that was actually really quick. Did I have steel dust chilling in my inventory? It kind of caught me off guard there. So I want to see this work. So let's craft up 10 of them. How about that? It is going to need some of that and some of that. Okay, let's see. It's going to go into here and start working. No, it's not. And I think it's because we do need to get that other one up and going. So if we go back into here and we look at steel, yeah, it's not working. And we can check our crafting monitor here. Scheduled machine doesn't accept item. So I think we have to have an importer here. So the extra one is set to the bottom, but if we have it on the left and we have the input to the top, let's change this one to that. We're actually going to turn that one off. So left side will be the extra item, which I think in order for us to have this work, we have to have it like so. I think we have to have an exporter on here. And then, yeah, and we don't need it to craft up, but let's get some coal. And I think we can just set it in here if I'm not mistaken, just like so. And then it'll input coal into here. Which it's very, very slow. It's doing it one by one, but hey, that's okay. But it won't craft it automatically. That's the other thing too, which we might want to have a crafter upgrade on here, which we should have. Yep, crafting upgrade, which I believe we can just throw in here, right? A crafting upgrade. How, trying to remember how we got to use this. Does it go into the pattern slot then? Is this how we do it? Or no, this is how we... Oh, I see what we got to do. We throw this in here. We take that off of there, right? And then we come back over here to our setup. And we go back to our pattern, right? And we had one that would make coal from this. So then what we do is we come back in here. We throw that in there. And then what it should do is craft them over to normal... What is this? Did it not put it? Oh, it did put it on there. But is this working then? It doesn't look like it's working. Types, redstone, ignored, exact on. Let me take a look at this. All right, so we got it working. And I'm going to run you through what I actually needed to do for it. So, for whatever reason, I was not getting this exporter to work in the way I wanted it to. So ultimately what I just did is I threw blocks of coal in there. So that's what it's just going to use, is blocks of coal. We have so much coal, like so many blocks of coal. As you can see here, we have like 1,200 blocks of coal. So instead of going through a process to dwindle them down more, I think they're perfectly fine. It's not like we aren't going to use them. So it'll keep a good amount in here. And then once it has enough space to burn a block of coal into the carbon we need, it'll do so. So it is what it is. It works. And then what I ultimately needed to do, since we no longer have to have coal be input into that slot, which wouldn't even have worked, what we needed to do was to switch all of our recipes in here so that it does not include the coal that I had set out before. So now they just take the iron ingot and puts it in here, and then it'll get enriched iron, and then the steel dust will take the enriched iron and then output it like so. Obviously, we didn't need to change anything for our steel ingot because it's just taking normal steel dust to make it up. So if we go into here, right, into our inventory, and we look at steel, just like so. So we have the option to craft it up. Now, we can easily do it just like so. We can craft up 10 of them, which we'll do now. It'll show you what it's going to craft. It needs to craft those up, needs to craft that up, and it has that available. So the starting point all the way through till the end. So no inclusion of coal at all. But as you can see, our advanced infusing factory is going here. It is taking that iron. It's going to turn it down into the enriched iron. And that's the nice thing about the infusing factory, is that it can do the processes at the same time because there's enough slots for it. Now for this, I would recommend having auto sort off. For this one, because you don't really want to distribute them. You want to be able to have both of them come in at the same exact time and be running at the same exact time. Unless you want to if you do want to have auto sort on, I would recommend having 2 separate ones for the different types of processes. But that's just me. Anywho. So once it gets done over there, it's going to come over here, and then it will actually smelt up. Now this bad boy over here actually has a couple speed upgrades on it. It has 6 of 8 speed upgrades, and that's what we're going to want to do with this one, is get more speed upgrades on it, because it doesn't have any currently, and it's extremely slow, which is a little bit annoying. But if we come in here to our inventory, and if I still could learn how to type, as you can see, our steel is slowly but surely accumulating, which is perfect. So we have gotten our automated steel production going. Let's get that torch out of here, and let's get a nice little, maybe a nice little picture of this up and going here. Something along these lines, right? All right, anywho, so the other thing I did want to mention was this ender chest here. So what I did do on stream as well is we got a way that we can actually automate all of the ores that we pick up along our travels. Do I have more coal in here? Yeah, I do have way more coal in here. I was just thinking about that because I knew we went to the other, and that's where you can get so much coal from. But basically, how this works, so we have a chest here, an ender chest, that's set to gray. It's code 888, but it's all gray. And then we have an importer into our system here. So you might be wondering how this necessarily works. And we're going to run through it extremely quick because we are at the end of the episode already, which is crazy. I can't believe we've already gone through all that time. We didn't get to the other item that I wanted to get to today, but we will in hopefully the next episode. So coming over here to our main area. So what I have done is I've actually gotten an ender bag, which the ender stuff is awesome. I highly recommend getting into it if you can. You start with these ender pouches, and then from there you can craft the different things like an ender bucket, an ender tank, the ender bag, and the ender chest. So the bag and chest work together, the bucket and tank work together. So you have items and liquids. Very straightforward. So you get a bag up and going, very easy crafting recipe. You do need the pouch, which does take Eyes of Ender and leather. And then the chest, you need the ender pouch as well. So what we have done is we do have a purple one here. I have actually switched our Botania setup ones to a different color so we could utilize this a little bit easier. So this one is set to purple, just like our bag is here. And basically what will happen is if we open this up and we put an item in here, it'll show up in our one over here, as you can see. Now it's getting taken out because it is going over to a storage chest. So the setup I have here is basically so that if we're out in the field, we're out collecting a bunch of resources, we can throw them right into this pouch. It's going to go to this ender's chest right here, which will get put out into a diamond barrel, which is awesome because it has way more storage. This only has 9 slots here. This one has way more. So if we are using, let's say we're in the other getting a bunch of ores and stuff like that, it'll accumulate in here. And we are going to want some speed upgrades for this to extract a little bit quicker or jump up to a higher logistical transporter, but that's a whole different scenario. So everything will accumulate in here and then go through our normal processing. So it'll come down into our enriching factory, which will double the ore output, bump over to the smelting factory, which will then smelt them up, and then output into now another ender chest. Now this one is the gray one, so code 888 here. And this actually links to the one over in our refined storage area. So pretty much what happens is I can be out in the other, getting a bunch of ores, plopping them right in here. They'll get stuck up here, go right through the process, and then put right into the system. So I don't even need to touch anything with it, which is awesome. Extremely, extremely awesome. It's something we should have done really a long time ago, but just had not gotten around to it. But now that we have officially moved our refined storage setup, I think that it was definitely something worthwhile to get up and going. Now, we do have a lot of empty space on this first floor of our refined storage area, and you might be wondering what we are going to do with it. Well, I have a few ideas in mind, but you guys are going to have to stay posted for those ideas. We are going to get just some normal elevators in here, and we have this whole space down here, and this is all going to be for automation setups. And I'm thinking about possibly integrating elemental craft, if we can, into our automated process, because we do use the elemental craft for like the unobtainium, the aluminium, the vibranium, and for the netherite scraps. It's a great way to not only get 6 times the value of each individual ore, but also get 3 times for some of them as well. I believe 3 times, or maybe it's 6 times as well for the netherite. I can't remember offhand. But anywho, it's a great way to get extreme ore duplication up and going. And I don't know if we can use it with the elemental craft setup. We'll have to see because of how the inputs and outputs work for it. I don't know if it's going to work in the way that I would like it to. I don't think we can place it on top. You have to place it from like the side, I believe. I don't know. We'll have to tinker with it a little bit. But anyways, guys, we're running extremely long on our episode here. So I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like down below. Or better yet, leave me a comment. As you guys, well, some of you guys know, I do try to read through all the comments and, respond where I can and just chit chat. And it's a great place. So great place to talk. But if you do want another place to talk, we do have a community Discord set up. Link is in the description down below. You don't have to be part of like a Patreon or anything like that. It's open to anyone in the community who would like to join in. Obviously, we have some rules, so please do behave yourselves over there. But it's just meant to have a great place to talk to one another on not only mod packs, but whatever you want. If you do enjoy this episode, definitely leave it a like. Appreciate it so very much. Like I mentioned, we do stream on Twitch. Link down in the description, along with that Discord link. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will catch you all in the next episode. Take it easy.